This week we're going to take a look at inferences. We've talked about this in the past, but we're going to spend a little bit more time this week. Making inferences can help you interpret implicit information in a story. It can also allow you to identify character traits by using that all-important word, text evidence, and your own knowledge or prior experiences. This will help you to fully understand the characters in a story and the conflicts they face. For example, before diving into a text called Because of Winn-Dixie, you might recall a time when you thought about bringing home a stray dog from a local park. If you are familiar with adopting a pet or missing a relative, both of which occur in the text we're going to take a look at today, you may combine these experiences with textual evidence to better understand the story. Or you might remember a time when you were lonely and wished you had a friend to talk with. Let's take a closer look at this text to see how we can make inferences.
Here's our learning target for this. You are going to be able to make inferences about a text using prior knowledge to create a personal connection. What is an inference? An inference is an idea or conclusion reached using evidence from a text and our own reasoning. Sometimes we refer to this as an educated guess. Let's take a closer look at the story Because of Winn-Dixie. I started in on Winn-Dixie right away, trying to clean him up. First, I gave him a bath. I used the garden hose and some baby shampoo. He stood still for a bit, but I could tell he didn't like it. He looked insulted, and the whole time, he didn't show me his teeth or wag his tail once. After he was all washed and dried, I brushed him good. I used my own hairbrush and worked real hard at all the knots and patches of fur stuck together. After reading this excerpt, I went back and looked through it again to find things that I might be able to make a personal connection with and to also draw some inferences from. Here's what I came up with. The first was here, in the beginning. I started in on Winn-Dixie right away, trying to clean him up. First, I gave him a bath. Now, in my inference, I said the following. I can infer that Winn-Dixie's fur is knotted and stuck together, and he needs a bath. This is from the highlighted section of the text that I have here. These are inferences made from the fact that the narrator is trying to clean him up, giving him a bath. I can also infer that he must be a dog because the narrator says he didn't wag his tail. I know this is an inference because there's nothing in this text that shows me that he is a dog or that says that he is a dog. So I have to make an educated guess. Let's take a look at another part of the text that I found to infer something about. In this next section of the text that I highlighted, it says, I used my own hairbrush and worked real hard at all the knots and patches of fur stuck together. So I added to my annotation and I made a note that says, my cousin once found a stray dog in the same condition. I can infer that Winn-Dixie must be a stray. So you'll notice that I made a personal connection with my cousin. This has nothing to do with anything that the narrator said about her cousin. This is my personal experience. Let's take a look at one more example from a different part of this story. The whole time I was working on him, I was talking to him, and he listened. I told him how we were alike. See, I said, you don't have any family, and neither do I. I've got the preacher, of course, but I don't have Mama. I have one, but I don't know where she is. She left when I was 3 years old. I can't hardly remember her, and I bet you don't remember your Mama much either. So we're almost like orphans. When I was reading this section of the text, the whole time I was thinking personally about my own family. I saw this part of the text that I thought was very interesting. So I highlighted it. The whole time I was working on him, I was talking to him. I also saw something down here that I thought could connect with the previous highlight that I made. So I highlighted this as well. When making an annotation about inferences, remember this is about making personal connections as well as making an educated guess. In the second section of text that I highlighted, the narrator said, I've got the preacher, of course, but I don't have a mama. I have one, but I don't know where she is. So in my annotations, the note that I wrote was this. I can infer that the narrator is lonely. This is very clear because, she's talking to a dog, and she says that she doesn't have a mama. I concluded I remember years ago when my best friend moved. I played by myself and sometimes I would talk out loud. So the narrator is probably happy that she has someone to talk to, even if it is a dog. So let's recap. You are going to be able to make inferences about a text using prior knowledge to create a personal connection. Remember that an inference is just an educated guess about the text. Now let's recap. Your homework and activities for week 4 are as followed in this list. Feel free to complete these all at once or take your time and go through each of these activities day to day. All of these will be due next Friday. The first thing that you're going to do is complete the assignment called Making Inferences, which can be found in StudySync. Then you are going to go back to the assignment, close read, Walk to Your Moons, and complete 5 annotations for inference using the highlighter color purple. That way I can see where your inferences are and where your additional annotations are from last week. Use the following sentence starter for each annotation. I can infer that blank because in the text blank, and then I remember when, and then here you'll make a personal connection. For each of your 5 annotations, please use this sentence frame. If you're not sure how to change the color of your highlighter, when you're in the assignment for StudySync and you click on a word or a sentence, the highlighting tool will come up and then you can change the color by clicking the drop-down menu to purple. Please change your color to purple so that I can see what it is that is your inference annotation and the additional annotations from last week. Once you've completed those annotations for inferences, make sure you complete the vocabulary words for the week. Here are the words we have, as well as the definitions. Feel free to pause this video at any time so that you can review any of these different activities. The next thing you're going to do is read an article called Why Are Emotions Contagious? This article can be found on Google Classroom. There will be discussion questions posted for this article on Wednesday morning. So you have until Wednesday morning to read it and then respond to the questions. But feel free to take longer. Finally, try to complete 30 minutes of iReady. Remember, these things are all due next Friday, May 8th.
All right, now for some reminders before we go today. Remember to check the assignments list in the document below this video to make sure you know what you need to do. Starting next week, we will not be meeting on Wednesdays for Zoom. Instead, I will be available from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Monday mornings in a Zoom chat room for you if you have any questions about any assignments. If you don't have any questions, you don't need to show up. But if you do have questions about assignments that I've assigned or anything in the past that I've assigned, please sign in and ask those questions there. You can also email me too. Also, Friday will be the day that work is assigned, and it'll also be the day that it is due. So everything that was assigned today, you will need to finish by next Friday. Don't worry too much about due dates. Just try to get it done as soon as you can. Teachers have been asked to use Clever to take attendance, so please make sure you use Clever to access StudySync and Google Classroom. If you have an assignment to complete in Google Classroom or StudySync, go through Clever so that we can see that you've accessed the material. Other than that, have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon.